Hey, how you doing? Gosh, it's been a long day, but you know, sometimes when you have something on your heart, like when you're just sitting inside of a thought, when you're sitting inside of a feeling, when you're sitting inside of emotion, you really just have to run with it. If you're new to me, you don't know who I am. My name is Tiffany Largy. I'm the founder of Onwards to Freedom. And my story is kind of simple. It starts about 13 years ago. I was a single mom who just got frustrated and tired and fed up of putting her kids to bed hungry. And I'd love to tell you that, you know, I was putting my kids to bed hungry and life was super tough. And then I'm like, I wrote code or I invented a product or I, was in the right place at the right time, but it's not my story at all. My story kind of translates to I got really fed up and tired of putting my kids to bed hungry. They're 18 months apart, so I was in love with those girls. And the reality is that when you get fed up with something, when you decide like you're stupidly done, then that's when shift comes. That's when a change comes for you. And that's when the change came for me. But it didn't come with like a bright light in the sky. I actually had to make a decision. And the decision I made was I had to stop thinking small. So in thinking small, it's like I had to start thinking differently about my value, what I thought I was worth. I was young, I'm black, I had two small girls. I had a lot of people who were telling me I was determined, I was destined to kind of be another statistic, and I didn't want to end up on that road. So I started a business. Entrepreneurship was kind of my gateway. It was like the way out. It was the way in which I was able to take the non-education, the non-degree Tiffany, the very little bit of skill, the tiny bit of know-how, and I was able to start a business. And starting a business, my first business, I didn't make, a multiple seven-figure business, no, but I went from hemorrhaging to bleeding. So things got better. And then I started another business, and my first was in gift baskets, my second was in retail, my third was in hardware and software, and I went from being that single mom, broke, frustrated, pissed off, to building three multiple six-figure businesses, and then I built a multiple seven-figure business. And, when you get to a place where you really think, and people ask me, now I'm fortunate, I get the pleasure, the luxury of meeting so many amazing people in the country as I speak and I teach, whether it's our own events or we get to spend time with other people. And you know what I get asked, like, Tiffany, how did you do it? And, what was it? And, I know all of my peers are like focused on teaching strategy. It's like Facebook ads and live events and make money speaking and build the online program. And and don't get me wrong, I think all those things have a place, but when I really truly think, like, how do you go from being where I was? I felt like a nobody. I felt like no one cared. I felt like I didn't really have a lot to offer. I didn't really feel very valuable in the world. I didn't. I just felt like a failure, to be quite honest with you. So for me, it's like, how do you really go from there to building a multiple seven-figure business? And I always come back to this question when I'm on a plane ride and when I'm thinking, and I kind of jot it down. So I just left Phoenix a couple of days ago speaking to a great group of entrepreneurs, great group of women. And I asked myself the question again, because after I stopped speaking, a handful of women came up and they asked me again. And I said, how did I? One of the key things that I think that has shifted and allowed me to grow so quickly is I made a decision, I made a choice that I was going to walk into the world being who I wanted to attract in the world. Like, stay with me for a moment, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like we say to ourselves, let's think about it from a spouse perspective. And we're like, oh, well, or a partner. I really want to find someone who's going to be really good to me. They're going to be honest and trustworthy. They're going to be committed. They're going to be funny and responsible and all these things. We have this long list. But like, the question of the day is like, is that who we are? Is that what we put out into the world? Or do we have some things that we need to change about ourselves? Like, or do we still put out a little bit of ugliness? Do we say, oh, I want someone who's going to be faithful, but we're not willing to be faithful? Or do we want someone who's going to be responsible, but we're not willing to be responsible? Do we want someone who's going to be committed, but we're not willing to commit to things? We're not willing to walk every day or go to the gym or not eat sugar. Like, really and truly, like, are we willing to be what we want to see in the world? For me, I gotta say, once I stopped thinking small, that was probably, and that's it. A lot of people used to tell me, think big. And I was like, well, damn it, I don't know what think big is. Like, what is think big? I made $10.22 an hour. If I made $15 an hour, that mean I was thinking big. And for me, I was like, damn it, I don't think that is thinking big. But I knew what don't think small was. And so for me, I made a decision that, one, I was not going to think small about my value, was not going to think small about myself. I was going to, for me, it was like, I could care less what other people thought. I could care less about what you saw in me, because at the end of the day, it's really about what I saw in myself. But in seeing that, I needed to start looking for what I wanted to attract. And in order to start looking for that, I needed to become that. So it's like, in order for me to start attracting people who were thinking differently, people who weren't thinking small, people who were making their dreams a reality, people who were just on a different grind, on a different game, just living a wholly, totally different life. Man, oh man, when I tell you that 225%, no joke, absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's me being who I wanted to find. It's like, instead of us saying all day long, oh, I want to find X person, or I want to live this kind of a life, or I want to have that kind of a destiny, or that kind of a network. It's like, why don't you be that? Like, I know this sounds so simple, but it's like, why don't you be that? It's like, this is like a self-check, self-truth moment. It's so easy for me to teach. You know, one of the things I don't do in our communities and all of, you know, clients and the programs that we have, I won't do or be anything I won't teach. It's like, for me right now, like, we're in the midst of a big give, and I'm teaching my clients, you know, they want to get to 7 figures. They want to get to 6 figures in some programs, and some programs are designed, they want to get to 7 figures. And it's like, yeah, I can teach you a lot of strategy, but right now for us, since January 1st started, I'm teaching all of our communities, even our free community, on how to give. Because I built a big business because I mastered, I won't say I mastered giving. I became even more willing to give. Like, and I mean give. I don't mean give like when you have 5 and you give 1. I'm talking about when you have 5 and you give 5 and you're looking for another one because the person on the other end actually needs 6. That's the kind of give that we're teaching right now. Because I believe if you really want to build a bigger life, you really want to build a bigger business, you want to have a bigger platform, you want to have a bigger voice. It's like, the world is so ugly. The world has so many ugly parts, but there are so many beautiful people in it. And this ugly world with beautiful, beautiful people, and I say ugly because the world has a lot of ugly moments all over, and they come in different facets. But there are beautiful people in the world who have the capacity to shine light in multiple directions. And I believe the entrepreneurs are just them. That's the truth. I believe entrepreneurs are going to be the game changer on this planet. That's my personal opinion. That's, you know, my kind of thought. Next week, I'll be boarding a plane on Valentine's Day to head to Atlanta because we're working on a project. There's a woman that I found out, she is feeding 1,200 people every month out of her little income, her little home. She's cooking, you know, at her house, and she packs all up in her truck, and she goes to find the homeless, but not just the homeless guys. I mean, like, she's on a place where she's finding the homeless that are immobile, those in the woods with multiple kids, families, and she has been feeding them for 17 years every single month. They, you know, I had the opportunity to connect with her live, and, you know, in connecting with her live, the absolute reality is that she is doing a gala next week, and her little gala that she sells tiny tickets to, and she's trying to raise all the money that she could do for next year. So once I heard about that, I decided I'm going to keynote and donate my time, and, you know, I'm going to fly there on our dollar, and I'm going to attempt to raise funds. But before I get on stage on Saturday, on Wednesday, I'm going to be in the woods going to meet the people that she serves. And, you know, for me, it's like, that's it. That's the next level of mastery. It's like, I've got girls, I've got kids, and I've got nieces and nephews, and I have a legacy that I want to leave behind. And call me selfish, but I do. And I want to leave my prayer and my absolute core belief is I can make an impact on the world enough to affect my children. If I can do that, I feel like my life was worth living, right? I've done all I can. I'm all used up. I used the most of who I was. And even though I can't change the whole world, I can impact a handful of people, and then they can continue to impact, and so on and so forth. The reality is that I want to learn how to be an even bigger giver. And I feel like I'm a pretty big giver. But man, I'm going to tell you, when I heard about this woman feeding 1,200 people every month out of the trunk of her car, and she's not giving them hot dogs. She's making a delicious soup and rice, and she's making them food where they feel like they have that she gives them self-respect. It's cold in Atlanta. They're in the woods, somewhere under bridges, and she feeds them hot food, and then she gives them snack bags that they can eat in pieces. and she gives them multiple waters and a lot of socks. And, you know, she gives at a level, when I heard that, I thought to myself, you know what, I actually have the capacity to give more. And back to the point and the real objective of this conversation, which is you be what you want to see in the world. Like, it starts with you. You can't get up every day and look to other people and say, hey, I really am going to stand here and I want to find this person, and I'm just not moving until I find them, or I'm going to be pissed off until I find them, or I'm going to be resentful until I find them. I'm going to be negative until I find them. I'm going to be objective until I find them. Like, that's not how the game works. I'm going to be ugly. I'm going to be standoffish. I'm going to be, you know, whatever it is, until that's not how this thing works. And let me stop and just say, if you haven't shared this video yet, I'm going to actually ask you to share it with somewhere, somehow, in a group you got, family members, it doesn't matter. Totally gonna ask you to share this. Because the reality is that I know, because I've been that person. I can remember it a decade ago where I was pissed off and angry and upset, and I was resentful because I had 2 little girls. I was a single mom, you know, and I was really just mad. And the absolute truth is that I wasn't being the person who I wanted to find. I was this person. I was pissed off. I was angry. I was like, well, when such and such happens, then I'll change my attitude. When this, you know, when this proves itself, or, man, that's not the way you do it. And, you know, and it took me a long road. It took me many years, but it was a long road. It was a painful road of me learning and understanding that that's not the way you do it. And I had to hit my head many times, and that joker almost I almost bled to death, hitting my head so many doggone times, and learning the hard way that in order to get what you want from people, you have to be what you want in people. In order to get what you want from the world, you have to put out what you want from the world. You have to be it. It has to start with you. It doesn't start anywhere else. It starts with me. That's it. It's a simple black and white statement, but it is my absolute hardcore truth. It starts with me. So in understanding that, and when people ask, well, Tiffany, how do you do it? How did you make it happen? What does it look like? It's like, you know what? I thought to myself after a super long day, and I know it's like super midnight or 1 in the morning on the East Coast and probably 10 on the Pacific, you know, as before I ended my day of teaching and getting ready for our 3-day event, which I've posted the link here. I'd love to see you there. The absolute hardcore truth is that you really want to change the game. You really want to make it more for yourself. You be what you want to see in the world. That's it. You be what you want to see in the world. I'm so excited that you spent this time with me. Here is this moment. So share if you get a quick moment, if it resonates with you. I'd love to hear what you think about it. 2, I'd welcome you into our community. The link here is for our event. That's April 2nd through the 4th. But actually, we've got a free community that's so cool. I feel like it's the best of the entrepreneurs or people who are givers. That's what I'm going to say, in the world. And I love these people. And it's onwardstofreedom.com. And I'd love to hang out with you. I would absolutely love to hang out with you. So have a great night. Find somewhere to give. And who do you want to be in the world? What are you looking for in your life? Spouse, a good friend, a family member. It actually doesn't matter. Whatever that is, whatever you want to be in the world, that's what you start to become. That's when the game changes. So at this late night, I'm Tiffany Largy. I flipping love you, and I will see you at some point soon.